It's good to marry a dumb husband. That's the takeaway from this. That's the real takeaway.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. You should be dumb. The dumber the better.
I survived a plane
I
crash.
accidentally killed my mother.
I can't stop cheating on my husband.
I am sexually attracted to clowns.
I like dressing up as a baby.
My wife doesn't know I'm gay.
I'm attracted to violent criminals.
I can't stop eating toilet paper.
I was an alcoholic by the age of 10.
If anyone ever found out,
I just couldn't stop myself.
I'd probably go to jail.
I can't help
It only happens when I sleep.
I used to drink with my
and
father.
my leg was scorching and on
Is that
fire.
what
I have no regrets.
Welcome back to Strange Lives. I'm your host, Priest Porfirio, here with my co-host, Denise Michelle.
Hi, Priest.
Hey, Denise, how are you doing today?
I'm looking forward to gabbing today. I want to gab. So what's the topic?
Well, let me ask you a question. How often do you feel like you need to get away from your normal everyday life and just have a place that you can get away and recharge?
I think about it probably more often now as an adult than I did when I was younger. Just everyday stuff. And depending on your family situation, I could easily see how you'd want to get away.
Yeah, I think this is a very normal thing that we all feel every now and then. We just need to get away from everybody. Well, our guest today is dealing with that exact same thing. She is a mother, a wife who sometimes is overwhelmed and just needs to get away from everybody.
Okay.
But what they don't know is that she has her own secret apartment.
Oh, okay. I can understand going to a hotel room or getting away for the weekend.
Right.
I've never met anyone that had like a secret apartment, so this should be interesting.
Me either. But let's meet her now. Our guest today is Miriam. Miriam, tell us a little bit about your story.
All right, I'm 31 years old, and my story is that I've been in a relationship, actually a marriage, since I was almost 18. I was barely 18, so yeah, and up to date, I'm still in it. It's not the best experience, I could say, but I do have 2 kids out of it, and I love my children, but every now and then I just want to escape. I try to live away from them and just imagine how my life would have been if I was just single, if I was just by myself. At times I just kind of get away, and by finding a way to do this, I got myself an apartment. It's still in the same state, but in a very different area, a place I don't think anybody is ever gonna go. And every now and then I make up this business trip so that I could just get away from it all and I escape. I just go live there and just live a typical single person life, which actually I never really experienced. So that's my big secret. I haven't told anybody, not even my closest friends. I'm not ashamed of it. It's just a way to get away from everything around me. And I think I'm still going to keep doing it, and it's going to be my little secret.
I love this idea. I can totally relate. I can totally understand how just getting away, even if you're not going to do anything, you're not going to see anybody, you're just by yourself.
I think it's a very normal feeling to feel a little overwhelmed and want to get away from it all.
You know, some people could judge me for that. Some people would think that maybe I'm a bad parent, I'm a bad wife and stuff like that. So I just prefer to keep it secret, but I know it's very normal and it should be something that it's not a crime or anything.
I feel like most people want to get away at some point in their life. Most people don't go and buy a separate apartment, but I also understand that this is something you've never got to experience.
Yeah.
You said that you've been married since you were 18 years old. Is this your very first apartment that you've ever had on your own?
Yeah, it's actually it's the only thing I think I've ever bought on my own, because everything else, it has to be like joint. It's like I have to ask for permission to do something with my dad. It's the only thing that is completely mine.
How were you able to buy this apartment on your own without your family or without your husband knowing about it?
Oh, I do have a job. I work as a hotel manager, so I make good money, and I just keep some on the side every now and then, and I don't have to explain why I take every little bit of my money, so I just kept it away, and I got this apartment for myself.
Miriam, I love this. So how far do you have to travel from your regular life to the secret apartment?
It's like a 3 hour drive. It's quite far away, and I prefer because that's why I'm sure nobody's ever gonna get to that place. And I'm hopefully hoping that nobody's ever gonna think of buying a place at that area.
So when you are in your secret apartment, do you have friends and people that you associate with and have a separate life, or is it just the apartment?
I actually have a few friends in that area, but they do not know about this other life of mine. It's like I have this double life. I have a place where I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and in this place, I'm this spontaneous single lady. They don't know anything about me except that I come and go. And when I'm gone, I tell them I'm working, so they don't really ask questions.
I love this idea so much.
Me too.
It's crazy though.
So how often do you leave and go stay at the secret apartment?
During the pandemic, that was like the worst time ever. I couldn't really go away. There wasn't much work to do. There wasn't much traveling, so I didn't have an excuse. But on regular days, I could escape about maybe 3 days each month or maybe a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you tell your husband whenever you need to go away? Or what do you tell your family?
Oh, it's a business trip, definitely. I work in the hotel industry. There's a lot of travel, and I tell them I've been sent to this other branch where I need to do this and that. And since I'm in the management area, it's understandable and believable.
What's your normal day like when you go there? So you decide, okay, you're going today, you leave, you go there. What happens for the next few days?
I still go to work. My work is a little bit far from my normal home, so nobody's gonna be coming there. So it's just like a normal day. Nothing really changes except that I don't hang out with my family for those days.
So do you cook for yourself and you're the same person, you're just in a different location, right?
Yeah, and the life changes a little bit. I get away from all the cooking. I do most of the cooking back home. So when I'm in this other place, I like just to go out, hang out with a few friends that I have, just a normal, typical single person life.
She's like, that's all I do at home is cook for my husband and kids. When I go to the apartment, I'm just ordering food in all the time.
Yeah, it's like living in a hotel. You know, you're going to enjoy everything except you don't do it yourself.
So Miriam, would you be interested in a romantic partner?
I don't think so. It's stressful. It's all that I'm trying to get away from, the stress from this.
Yeah.
I've only known this man, and he gives me the perspective that every other man is going to be like that. So I haven't even tried to like venture into a different relationship because I'm expecting it's going to just hold me down and tie me down just like this one. So I just want to be alone, and I'm happy like that.
I'm the same way, Miriam.
Except she doesn't have a secret apartment that
Yeah.
I know of.
You should get one. You should definitely get one. It's going to be fun.
There was a time when I went to visit my mother. I was taking care of her for a while, and I was living with her, and I had ended up renting an apartment for 2 months on the side so that I would have a place to go. Just being able to leave during the day and be gone for an hour or an hour and a half was just enough for me to have a mental break. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, it actually takes the stress off of it. You get away and you're not worried having to take care of everybody else. You just take care of yourself. It's fun. It may sound selfish, but I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it's selfish at all. I think you have to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. I look at this as self-love and self-caring.
Yeah. And especially if your partner doesn't really help, like mine doesn't really help around the house. So getting away and it's like you're recharging. You come back as a new person. And I can assure you that before I started doing this, it was not going well. I would probably be divorced by now if I hadn't done this. So it's been good for me.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, this has actually saved your marriage.
It's a good way to look at it.
What do you think would happen if your husband ever finds out about this? How would you explain this to him?
Oh my God. I haven't really thought about that. He's kind of, and sorry to say, he's kind of dumb. He's not really, he doesn't have those investigative skills or anything.
Right.
You just tell
Right.
him you're working as long as you're making good money, the kids are taken care of. He doesn't really dig deep into it. So I'm quite sure he's never going to find out about this.
It's good to marry a dumb husband. That's the takeaway from this. That's the real takeaway.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. It should be dumb. The dumber, the better.
Absolutely.
Since you are only there for a little bit, have you ever considered subletting the apartment or getting a roommate or something so that someone is there when you're not?
Nah, that's my own place. That's my haven. I don't want anybody interfering with anything. So no, I just want to be alone right there.
Yeah.
It's all yours. You don't want anybody else's stuff there.
No, I don't want to be fighting with somebody else. You didn't do this. You didn't clean the bathroom. You didn't do that. No, it's just my place. I want it all to myself.
She doesn't need another husband, another,
yeah, or another kid to clean
another
up after.
kid, another adult kid to take care of. No, I don't want that.
I think this is great. I think it's a great form of self-preservation, stress relief. I think it's a healthy way to get away. Nobody's being hurt by it. I think more people should do this.
Yeah, it is simply a way to get away and preserve yourself and go on a little mini vacation almost to get away from everything. There's nothing bad about it. It's not like you're going away and you're having this secret affair or anything like this. It's literally to get away from the stress of your normal life.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm doing anything wrong. I'm just escaping this, the yelling, the dirty house and everything, just getting a break from it all. And then I just come back and take care of it. So it's fine with me.
What was it 5 years ago that made you think about or made you decide that you're going to find your own apartment for yourself?
I always admired, I would see some of my colleagues, they're like, those young kids are getting out of their parents' house and they're excited about getting an apartment, not having to have to fight with anybody over anything. And I would be jealous. I was like, I never really got to experience this. I got out of my mother's house straight into this man's house. I never even experienced house hunting or anything like that. And I just started looking at apartments just for the sake of it. And I thought, I will get myself one. Actually, getting it at first I was like, I'm going to rent it out, make maybe some extra cash from it. But then after getting it, and I really liked it, I was like, no way I'm giving this to somebody else to ruin it. It's going to be mine and mine alone. And that's why I got this idea, I could have this double life. I work in a hotel, I already travel, so getting away for an extra 2 days, it's not going to make any difference. And that's how it all started.
I love that you decided to actually get a whole separate apartment versus just being like, I work in the hotel industry.
I'm just going to rent a room. Yeah.
Yeah, I want a place where I can do what I want. I don't want a place where there's even a record of me. This hotel room can say you out. It's going to record that you were here on this and that day. And then it's going to create unnecessary drama. But my own apartment, nobody's going to be going looking at records of people who bought apartments. I doubt that is ever going to happen.
Yeah, I think you'll be okay. Especially it's 3 hours away. You had money saved, so you don't have a mortgage or anything like that where there would be like a paper trail that could come back to you.
Yeah. Are you renting or did you buy this apartment?
Oh, it's mine. I bought it.
I don't want this to take a dark turn, but I know there are some instances, high profile cases where postpartum depression has gotten the better of families and mothers and things like that. And one particular instance, the mother was repeatedly telling her husband and telling people she needed a break. She had 5 kids. She needs a break. She needed some sort of outlet, and she didn't get that. And some terrible things can happen to people that don't take the time to take care of themselves. And I think that while it may seem strange to some mainstream society, I think it's a healthy alternative to what could be a miserable life.
Yeah, this is your way of making your way through life.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to get by. And Miriam, you could have gone so many other different routes. You could be drinking or doing drugs or finding other ways to try to relieve the stress. I think this is a healthy way to do it.
Miriam, do you think that at any point as your children get older, if one of them is having a hard time or they're going through something, that you will let them in on the secret apartment, maybe let them stay there at any point?
Maybe when they're adults, I think that would be okay. But I'm not going to tell them what I used to do at the apartment or anything like that. I could even tell them it's like a Airbnb or something, time sharing or something like that.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that.
But I'm never gonna tell them the truth about it. I know they'll probably hate me for this. They'll think maybe I didn't like them enough to put up with everything. So I don't think mentioning the power I used to get away from them when they were little is gonna be a good idea.
The issue with this is, I think that when people first hear about this or they first find out about it, the initial thought process is that you're possibly having an affair or that you're going away to do something wrong.
Right.
And that's not the case at all.
Yeah, they will never understand that I don't do anything like that. I don't think anybody would ever believe me. I don't think I would believe anybody saying the same thing.
I believe you.
I've gone through this and I could understand. But for somebody else, I don't think they're ever going to believe that I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Tell her that I believe her, priest.
Denise believes you. And I believe you.
Thank you.
In my professional life, I see a lot of clients who are mothers, and I constantly hear them tell me that the hour that they have with me is the only time that they can get away in their day, in their week, in their month, get away from their family and their children and their spouses. And it's not a bad thing. Everybody needs that time to be able to get away.
Yeah, it's not we have to be constantly there as long as we don't abandon them. I could have ran away if I wanted to. Nobody would have stopped me. I could have moved to another state, even moved to another country because I'm able to do that. But I didn't do that. I chose to just take a break. So I don't think anybody should blame me or blame anybody in my situation for doing that. We could have gotten away. There are people that abandon their kids and just go. But we haven't done that. We're still here. We just need a break every now and then.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, you're not abandoning your children. I think that it may be worse on the children had you have divorced or had you just left, but you didn't do that. This is your way of being able to still be there for your family, but being able to have your own time also to recharge and then come back to your family and take care of them.
I think they should actually be thanking me for this because I could have denied them the time they spend with their father because I have no doubt that my children love their dad. And I could have just divorced him and just raised them on my own. They could be seeing him every week. And that would be worse. That would be terrible. So I think they should actually thank me that they get to live with him every single day because of what I do. If I didn't do this, they probably wouldn't get to see him as much.
If you don't have that time away, it could potentially make things worse because there's that stress that is not getting relieved and then could be taken out on the kids, be taken out on the husband, and then it causes more fights and more anxiety. And then it gets to a point where it's pressure cooker. So I think this is a healthy way to relieve the steam, so to speak.
Yeah, it definitely is. And there are also people, not everybody's going to be able to buy an apartment. If you ask me, I would advise somebody to get a hotel room or something like that. Just escape for a few days. It's actually better than putting up with everything. You're eventually going to break.
Now that you have your own apartment, in times where you wanted to get away, have you considered doing other things? Have you considered going on vacation by yourself?
I do go on vacation several times, but according to my family, it's still a work thing. But for me, I escape. It's another way of escaping, except that in this situation, I don't have an apartment elsewhere. I just get a hotel room and stuff like that. But for my family, I could never really tell them that I need this vacation for myself. No. If I need one to get away out of the country, it's going to be a work thing.
I don't think that they would understand.
They wouldn't understand, obviously. They'll think I'm a selfish person and I don't like them, I don't love them or stuff like that. So it's better to just spare them the truth.
Yeah, I don't think they would understand. I don't think that they would understand that you just need time alone to recharge for yourself. That's what it is. You just need time to recharge and de-stress. I imagine not only do you have a husband and kids that you're dealing with, but your life at work is probably also very stressful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely is. It's not the easiest. You have to deal with other people there, and it's a headache everywhere. So any chance you get to get away, I think you should do it as often as possible.
I think a lot of this also comes back to the fact that you have been married and starting a family since you were 18 years old. You never had that chance to get out on your own, have your own experience, your own single life. And it's not you wanting to go out there and meet other people and meet other guys. It's literally you wanting to go out there and just have your own freedom and just have your own time away from everyone.
Yeah, I just live it like I pretend like maybe I'm still 18 or 20 something and I'm just living my normal life because I missed out on that. Definitely I did miss out on that, but on meeting new people, I could swear to you that thought hasn't really crossed my mind. I don't care about that at all.
Don't worry, Miriam. I can promise you we are all trying to imagine that we're still 20 something.
Yeah.
Nice to know I'm not alone.
No, absolutely not.
So I'm curious, when you're in your secret apartment in the city 3 hours away, do you dress the same? Do you act the same? You're just the same person, just in another city? Or do you try to just be a totally different identity?
Well, if you know me from this motherhood life and then you come and see me in this other life, it's not going to be the same person. I can assure you that. When I'm a mother and when I'm back home, it's reserved. My husband is one of those men who like, I need to dress like this. I want my wife dressing like this. I sometimes even wear clothes that I don't even like just to please him and to just keep the marriage standing. So I can assure you that the person living with the kids and the person living on her own, these are two different people.
Do you use a different name?
Nah, I still have my name. I just behave the way I would actually want to behave. When I'm back home, I behave the way the people around me expect to behave. But when I'm on my own on this other side, it's like I'm free. I'll do whatever I want. I'll drink if I want to. But on this other side, I don't even think they know that I drink. They actually don't.
I love it. I love it. I would love to meet this Miriam, this single life Miriam.
I know. I'm like,
Oh, yeah, she's fun. She's a lot of fun, I can assure you. She's not the boring mom that everybody thinks she is. And I hate that life, but I just put up with it for my kids.
I hope that someday when your kids are adults, that they see this other Miriam, this fun Miriam.
yeah, I think they'll appreciate it.
I'm counting on that too. And actually, I haven't told anybody things I'm going to tell you because you don't really know me. I'm actually planning on getting divorced after my kids are all grown and maybe off to college. I'm not going to continue living this double life. I don't like it. I want to live the life that I actually want. So they're definitely going to meet this fun Miriam for sure.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are your kids now?
They're little babies. One is actually turning 11 on Tuesday and the other one is 4.
Okay, so they're fairly young still.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
So I would just say this, and I want you to know I'm not pro-divorce. This is something that is a very personal thing that everybody has to figure out. Just as a counter to you wanting to get divorced after they're raised, because I have a lot of friends. I know a lot of people that have this same attitude that when they're in a bad marriage, they want to get divorced once the kids are raised. I often think at the same time, how much better would it be for your kids if you did get divorced and you didn't wait until they were 18 and moved out? Wouldn't it be better for your kids to see you happy?
Yeah, I've thought about that, but maybe for the one that's almost 11, she could understand. She actually has mentioned when we're talking, kids say stuff and maybe they just think you didn't hear it, but I do hear what she says. There's this one time she actually said, I would never want to have a husband like my dad. And that really hit hard. It shows that she sees the life we're living and she doesn't like it at all. Actually, just yesterday, I don't remember what I was doing, and I asked her to help me. And you know what she said? She told me, if it was me, I would actually ask my husband to help me. So she sees that I have this husband, but he's not willing to lend a hand, and she can tell that. But for the younger one, I don't think she can really understand. So maybe I wouldn't have to wait until they're adults, but maybe for the younger one to get a little bit older, and just if she starts realizing and noticing this like her sister, maybe then I could consider that.
Her sister is very smart.
Yeah, she is.
She's insightful.
She's going to be like, if it were me, I would get a secret apartment.
Yeah.
She's definitely gonna agree with me. I actually think I could let her in on the secret, but not just yet. But I'm pretty sure she would understand. She's smart. She's not as dumb as her daddy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just from what you've told us about your oldest, I was in a situation like that where I spent many years not wanting to be in a relationship because I didn't want to. All I had to compare to was what my mother had been in, the relationships that my mother had been in. And there was no way I was signing up for that. I didn't want any of that. So your daughter, she's already seen what she doesn't want. And you having that, you'll have that bond. She'll be able to bond, and they'll be able to, I don't know, I think find a common ground there.
Yeah, she already has an example of what not to get into. So it's actually good for her.
I don't want to bring anything up. And if you don't want to mention this or talk about it, that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
But you've alluded to it. Your daughter has alluded to it. What is it that you're dealing with your husband, which is making him this person that even your daughter wouldn't want as a father?
For one, I could say he's not the best. He's not the best father. He's not the best husband, but I've put up with him all this time. Like I said, for the kids. But what he does, he's a selfish person. He's definitely selfish, and it doesn't matter who we're talking about. He's going to be selfish towards everybody. He actually does what he wants, what he finds best for him. He doesn't care whether it's going to affect me or the kids, as long as it's good for him. I guess maybe that's the side that my kids have noticed. My eldest daughter has noticed, and I would never want a husband like my father. He's not the best partner. She's a kid, but she already knows that a husband should be able to help out his wife. But she says that this one doesn't really help out his wife. So things like that are what my child notices and says, I'm not going to want to deal with something like this in the future.
Your kids are very intuitive, and they pick up a lot more than we think they do.
Yeah, actually, kids are really smart. We think they're dumb when they're quiet right there watching TV and stuff, and you hear arguing. You think they don't see, they don't hear. No, they notice everything. They just think maybe they're scared to mention it. It's not their place. So they're just quiet. But I know they notice everything.
And the entire time, I haven't heard her say, my husband, he's not the best at this, but he does this really well. He may not be the best communicator, but he's a really good cook. Or it doesn't seem like there's any redeeming qualities that makes it worth trying to continue to keep working at it.
He would never make you a cup of hot water. He would never do anything. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being this bitch, but no, I don't think he would never. I can remember one thing I could tell you that he's done for me. I don't know. Maybe it's a point that I've gotten with the marriage and stuff like that, but still, he's not the best partner to be living with. Like I said, he's selfish. He wants everything done for him, but he will never do anything for him. I once asked him, I was in bed, and I was like, can you please take this phone and charge it for me? You know what? He asked me, who are you to tell me to help you charge your phone for you? Like, what the hell? What is that? That is something so small, but he would never do. Imagine someone who wouldn't take your phone and charge it for you. What do you expect this person can do for you, to be honest?
What a jerk.
You are absolutely not being a bitch. And I feel so bad that this is the type of marriage you're in. It honestly explains all of this and why you need to get away from that.
Yeah.
It's sad because you've been in this marriage since you were 18 years old. So this may be your only relationship or the only relationship that you've known. I can guarantee you that is not the way that a relationship is supposed to be. That is not how everybody out there is. While you're dealing with your marriage and how to navigate that, I am so happy that you do have a place to get away to actually be fun Miriam, to actually enjoy your life.
Yeah, I definitely think just in the conversation that we've had this morning, Miriam sounds incredibly down to earth, put together, super intelligent, successful. It's not like she's thought this through. She's thought about, what do I need to do for self-preservation? What do I need to do? And she took the steps to do that. She wasn't sloppy with it. It's a very adult decision. I feel like there's part of me that feels like I want to go and wherever she is and take her away from that marriage. I don't want her to be, I just want her to be happy.
Trust me, I would want nothing more. Actually, my dreams, I've always wanted to travel the world. I don't like to just be held down and working. I just live a life that everybody expects me to, get a job, have a family, have kids. But that's not really what I want. But for the kids part, I really do love kids. I wanted to have kids. Maybe I just had them with the wrong person and he made it hell for me. But I know children are a blessing and I love my children. But I would really love to enjoy that life that I always imagined I would, traveling in Paris, wherever I want to go, and just be free and not have anybody on my back. Like, when are you coming home? Kids are waiting for you. I don't actually mind even traveling with the kids. I just want this adult dead weight off of me. And
Yeah.
Talking about this, maybe I'm going to reconsider a lot of things after this.
Well, I hope you do. And I hope that you keep in touch and you let us know what happens next. I do have to tell you, I really feel like you are only 31 years old now, and you have a long, full life ahead of you that is going to be amazing. And you are going to be able to navigate this at some point and get away and go on your vacations. Go to Paris.
I'm super excited about it for her.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this for you.
Thank you.
You definitely sound like you know what you want and you're going to go get that.
I'm definitely going to go get it. I just have to figure out the kids part first. But I never actually spoken to anybody about this. You're the first people, and I feel free talking to a stranger about this than somebody I know. I feel people will just judge me for this, but this is quite something. Just telling somebody about it and somebody who understands. This has been amazing.
Please know that you can reach out to us at any time, especially if things change, if it's a year from now, if it's a couple years from now, and you are divorced and traveling the world, or whatever the situation is. If you end up telling your kids, whatever the situation is, you can reach out to us and update us and let us know, because even if you just want to run some thoughts by us, even if it's not for the podcast, just reach out to us and we would love to stay updated and just know that you are navigating this life and that you are becoming more fully yourself.
I would love to do that. I would love to share and maybe get a thought in from that.
Absolutely. I do want to thank you so much for being on our show today and for sharing your story. I think that a lot of our listeners out there are going to really identify with this. And I would guarantee that probably more than one you're going to convince to go get their own secret apartment.
Oh, I hope I do. I hope I make a lot of people happy. Just get your own life. Doesn't have to be you're doing anything wrong. Just as long as you're happy, you do it, whatever it is. You want to buy a mansion, you want to buy an entire palace, that's up to you as long as it makes you happy.
Thank you so much for your time, Miriam. I hope that we hear from you again soon.
Again, I want to thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing your story today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been actually more helpful than I had imagined. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and you have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye, Miriam. I think this topic was more interesting than I had originally expected. I typically, when I read the title, my initial instinct was, oh, she's having an affair. She's having a secret rendezvous with someone, but she's a down-to-earth, intelligent adult who made an adult decision to preserve her mental health and sanity. That's how I see it.
Absolutely. And I think that is what most people are going to think when they initially see this or they read this title, when they find out that she has a secret apartment, that she is having this double life where she has maybe another family or she has somebody else that she's having an affair with. And that's not the case at all. And despite the fact of this podcast being called Strange Lives, I think that what she's doing is actually not that strange. I think it's very normal for people to feel like they need time away from their normal life. As she mentioned, she doesn't just have this apartment. She's also going on vacations by herself. And I think some people will see that as selfish, but I don't think it's selfish at all. I think it's her preserving herself and recharging herself so that she can come back and she can be the mother that she needs to be. Maybe not necessarily the wife she needs to be, because it doesn't sound like her husband is that great of a guy.
Okay, so there's the flip side. So if we're looking at the situation on the surface, it's great because she's finding a healthy way to work around. If we're looking at we're going to a root cause perspective, that's a deeper, it must be really bad. He sounds like a dirtbag. I don't mean to, I mean, he just sounds like a total loser. And something tells me that maybe if she didn't choose this man to marry, that maybe, I don't know, I don't want to make any assumptions, but it doesn't sound like if she had 100%, doesn't sound like she had a real decision and when and who she was going to marry. I didn't want to ask her because I didn't want to get too personal, but just the fact, I feel like she has a real sense of obligation.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's a lot of women that I know, I don't want to say modern day women, who just would have gone a long time ago. They would have just been gone, thinking that it's healthier for the kids to have a better example of what a good man looks like. And I'm putting quotes around good men because it's subjective, but I think everybody can agree what she has described is not good for anybody.
Yeah. I could never be with somebody who wouldn't charge my cell phone for me.
Yeah. Come on.
And I think that that's a completely different conversation for another time. And it's a completely personal decision. But I absolutely think that when it comes to people saying that they're going to wait until their children turn 18 to get divorced, I think you also have to look at the other side of the coin, which is it better for your children to see you happy and healthy rather than to see you miserable as you're waiting for them to turn 18 years old?
I can understand the viewpoint of wanting to have your kids have an example of, you want them to have some reliability and some strong foundations and stability when they're growing up. But I think kids are more resilient. And if parents have a plan of, hey, this isn't working, we need to figure something else out.
I think her daughter is going to figure it out long before she decides to tell her. Her daughter seems very smart, very intuitive. And the fact that she would make comments and say that's not the type of husband that she would want, I think that speaks volumes.
You know what else is interesting? I know that she had said she felt better after talking to us and she might rethink waiting or just rethink some of her original plans. Her comment about her daughter when she said that, that's the first time I've heard about a different parental experience. Like that to me sounds like, I want to know more about this girl, this kid. I want to know the thought process. I want to know how she is seeing the world, how she's interpreting that. Her story just in that, 30 minutes made me want to have a daughter.
Yeah.
I've never had that motherly instinct, but I can see how she has a different relationship than what I grew up with. And I've just felt for a minute, I felt eager to be a positive influence in a young person's life.
Who would have thought that this podcast was going to be so cathartic and just circle back around where we are learning things also? It's interesting because we hear so often people tell us that they have nobody to speak to, and that speaking to us is the first time that they've been able to verbalize their thoughts and speak on their secret or what is going on in their lives that they've never been able to tell anybody.
But not just that they haven't been able to tell anybody, but it's always followed by, I feel a lot better.
Right. And it's interesting because that wasn't initially what I thought this podcast was going to be, but I love that this is what the podcast is for them.
And I will say, just in my experience, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, if I'm thinking something over my head and I'm staying in my head and I'm just thinking through it, and then it can balloon way out of control. But then once I'm able to talk with someone and they help me to bring it back into perspective, so it doesn't always feel so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So sometimes, even if it's a one-time thing, almost like a confessional, just take the load off and keep going.
I hope that she stays in contact with us and that we hear an update from her at some point in the future.
I genuinely hope everything works out for Miriam. I hope she keeps in contact with us. I hope things change for the better. I wish nothing but the best for Miriam.
And nothing but the worst for her husband.
For her dirtbag husband.
That's right.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Strange Lives, a Reynolds Omnimedia production. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe and rate us on Apple, Google, Spotify, and anywhere podcasts are found. To be a guest on our show, visit us online at strangelives.com. Follow us on social media at The Strange Lives. And join us at patreon.com/strangelives for behind-the-scenes, exclusive content, and more. To discuss this episode, visit the Strange Lives community at reddit.com. Be sure to tune in next week for another strange episode.